Hi guys, this is Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist. In this occasion, I'm going to be reviewing the Seiko Black Monster, which is the watch you see right now. In one of my previous videos, someone mentioned in the comment section, it's like a nice Black Monster, so I know some of you guys know what this sort of watch is. The Black Monster has its own cult following because it's a great watch for its price. It's usually under $200, but has many of the characteristics you notice in watches that are $1,000 or even more expensive than that. You're talking about several $1,000 watches that in some cases aren't as good as this watch right here. So I know there's a bit of a following to the Black Monster, and rightfully so, the Seiko Monster series. And before I get started with this, I'd like to mention a couple of other things since this is my first watch review. Sometimes you hear about people talking about survival watches or read articles online and making reference to watches as survival equipment. Seems that everything is survival. What's my survival knife, my survival watch, my survival backpack. Is it survival equipment really? I don't know, maybe it could be depending on the situation we're talking about. I don't consider it as essential as, for example, having a firearm when you need it to save your life, as having a tool when you need to make life-saving repairs during an emergency, or fire starting equipment, for example, which is essential in some cases as well. I don't think it's that essential, but it is true that there are some watches out there that have a compass and have barometers, and you can tell the temperature and sunrise, especially the G-Shock series, the Pathfinders. Those are great watches, and they have lots of these things that I'm mentioning. The Sunto Core watch, it's expensive but excellent watch. There are more and more tools out there, and I just like keeping updated and knowing what the market is offering in some cases. In this occasion, the Black Monster, which is this watch that you're seeing right now, it's a pretty simple watch. Just gives you time of the day, and you have the calendar over here. That's basically it, but it still has many of the things that I look forward to when getting a new watch, or for my choice of watch. What is the thing that I consider most important? Well, first of all, not relying on batteries. I think that's important. I like that. Second, I would say, the two most important things would be not needing a battery, and the watch itself being very rugged and resistant to impact and abuse. This watch does that perfectly well. It's maybe not as resistant as the G-Shock, which is probably the most abuse resistant watch. This is my G-Shock. Excellent watch as well. Solar, it needs no batteries. But if you prefer the analog interface, then this might be what you're looking for. If you like a more classic approach and you don't like the more tactical looking black watch, this may be what you're looking for, because it offers many of those characteristics in a watch that it has a classic appeal to it. So let's go into the Seiko Black Monster itself. First of all, it's the machinery inside is a 25 joules automatic self-winding movement mechanism. That's the mechanism. The serial number is a 7S26 mechanism. For those of you that know what that means, I just did a bit of research on that myself. It's supposedly it's not a classy mechanism. It's not a very classy Rolex type of mechanism inside, but it's still very rugged, resistant. The things I was mentioning before, those you will find in this sort of mechanism. It may lose a few seconds, give or take, but it still keeps good time and does its job properly. If you don't know what a self-winding watch is, well, it has a weight, it has a piece of metal on the inside. With the movement of your wrist, it winds on its own, so you don't need any batteries. It's not using any batteries. The thing is, you have to use it practically on daily basis, because if you leave it for more than 24 hours, I think it goes maybe for 40 hours or so. After 40 hours, you run out of windage, so you need to use it constantly, or at least a few times a day. That's in order to keep the watch on its proper time, correct? Then you're talking about all this being stainless steel. You have a stainless steel case, and wristband. This is something that I've seen the guys in the Rolex forum praise. Some of them were saying that this bracelet you see here is better than the ones they find in their several $1,000 Rolex, and I believe it is. I believe that to be true because you can tell it's so solid. These are solid links. These aren't just folded pieces. Okay, they use a pin that goes through, and each pin has 2 sleeves which are hollow. So with what I used was a broken needle to push one of the pins. The pins come out with the sleeves, and you remove the link that you need to get removed and put it back on its place with pressure. Maybe you could use a small, a very small drop of Loctite, not permanent or anything. That wouldn't prevent that little sleeve from coming loose. Maybe that's something you want to do to prevent having a problem with that. So you have the day, you have the calendar, you have the time, of course, in your watch with hands, and you have a calendar as well. This is usually bilingual. It's in English and usually in Spanish or in numbers, or even there's a model that is in Arabic, I think. So you have to make sure of that, what type of second language you're getting in your calendar. The luminous handles use a proprietary material made by Seiko, which is extremely bright. I don't know if you get to see that. It's the brightest lumen you will find in any of these watches, unless you're talking about tritium tubes. In terms of this luminous material, Seiko makes by far the best one that is to be found. If there's just a good amount of natural light, as soon as you go into a dark place, it looks extremely bright, very bright. The glass, the crystal, that's also proprietary material by Seiko. It's called Hardlex, and it is pretty scratch resistant, I'd say. I've been using this watch for some time and don't have any scratch problems with it. So I think they did a good job with this crystal. While it's not sapphire or something like that, it does get pretty good in terms of scratch resistance. No problem so far, and haven't read of complaints in that regard either. There is some protection offered by the bezel. You have some curvature on the lens, on the crystal as well. Right, you have a bit of curvature, and you have the bezel offering some protection from scratching. It is an unidirectional moving bezel, as it should be. Right, there you go. And it's protected here and here as well, so that's good because it means it's not going to be adjusting on its own. The Seiko Black Monster is exclusively designed as machinery, which is something that I really like because it's very purpose oriented. It's a diverse watch per excellence. It's designed as such, and you see it, you notice it. It's the cheap, the affordable, cheap shouldn't be the word, it's an affordable diverse watch, and probably one of the best ones out there. As you see, the crown is not placed at 3 o'clock, it's just a bit on the side, which is good so it doesn't bury into your hand when moving it. It makes it easier in that way. The crown screws down, and you have to unscrew it first, then pull it out once, then pull it out twice. Has 2 different positions. The second one is for adjusting the time. The first one is for adjusting the calendar. Okay. As I said before, you have stainless steel case and bracelet, which is going to be making it very water resistant. And the water resistance is 200 meters. 200 meters, pretty good. 44 millimeters in terms of diameter, 44 millimeters, and 13 millimeters thick. You have the classic tsunami on the case. It locks very well, it's very solid. Locks here, you have to press on both sides to remove it. So it locks there and there as well. It's not going to be going anywhere. I really like having stainless steel band. It's something much better than the rubbers one. I know there's lots of heavy duty tactical super duper watches that have the rubber band and it always breaks off. At least that's been my experience. Even with the most you know, tactical looking watch, if it has plastic, if it has rubber, eventually in the hole where, you know, where you have the different little holes, it starts cracking from the inside. It eventually keeps cracking all the way through and it falls. I lost a couple of watches that way, and after a second watch I lost because of a rubber band bracelet. I said, okay, that's enough, I'm not buying one anymore. So from now on I'm sticking to steel. Even for example in this G-Shock, also very nice watch, I should be mentioning sometime, making a small review of it. This is stainless steel as well. I just got tired of losing my watch that way. So in that regard, it's an extremely rugged watch for an analog watch. And the bracelet, the stainless steel bracelet, is also extremely tough as well, and it compensates well the weight between the case, which is pretty heavy, and the rest of the watch. In some cases you have a very heavy case and the wristband is either synthetic material and it's too light. In this case it's well balanced and it doesn't feel that heavy in your hand, even though the weight is reflected also because of the solid looks of it. Now in terms of looks, I think it's a stunningly good looking watch. I really like it. It's not maybe the most practical watch for you if you have several watches and you're changing them all the time. This is something that you would be carrying often and using it on a daily basis, because if not, you have to change the time every couple of as soon as you stop using it for a couple of days, it stops working, so you have to readjust the time and start using it again so as to keep track of time. Maybe if you're changing watches a lot, it's not the best thing for you. Now if you're a guy that is into survival and preparedness but still prefers a more classic look in his watch and likes analog watches better, you know, there's people that simply are that way. If that's your case, maybe the Black Monster, maybe that's exactly what you're looking for. If you are more of the, you know, EMP worried type of folk, you know, always worried that everything is gonna be stopped working because of an EMP, this watch has no electric components to it, so that's also an advantage, I suppose, if that's what you're concerned about. Guys, excellent watch. I have one that was given to me as a present. I have the orange Black Monster, which the only difference is the orange face. Still the same watch, but entire different feel to it. Excellent watch, highly appreciated by myself. That's gonna be it, guys, for now. Take care and see you on our next video.